the sad news. The sad news. My bill will get a hearing, but my bill will likely not even come out of the chairman's drawer for a vote because of the man who lives in the mansion behind us. Again, we heard the word tyranny, right? Yep. When the voice of the people is silenced, it's tyranny. Yep. And the voice of the people will clearly be silenced in the House Judiciary Committee and in the Senate Judicial Proceedings Committee, no matter what we want. So the question is, are you willing to fight? Yeah. Because if you don't think this is a fight, you are sadly mistaken.
We're not rolling over like New York.
This is the fight of our lives. It's the fight of our lives. It's the definition of what this country will or won't be in the future. Mark my words. You heard Congressman Harris speak of what's coming in out of Washington. Again, it's tyranny, folks. Yep. Watch the news. It doesn't take rocket science to understand what's happening to our great nation. We've seen it for years now. The problem is that the current president doesn't really care how much he exposes his hand, does he? No. He doesn't care.
Lame duck.
So again, the reality is that we, the people, must again stand on the line and say, not in my county, not in my state, not at my door. You try to take my guns and somebody's going to die at my doorstep. Here, here. Now it might be me. It might be me, but somebody is going to die when they come to take my guns. And I would believe that most of you standing here will have the same courage to do what you need to do to protect and defend your God-given right to protect yourself, your family, your friends, and your country from tyranny.
Amen.
God bless you all. Thank you all. I forgot to tell you about the second piece of legislation. I have another piece of legislation. That is that I don't know how many of you have experienced this, but there are certain locations throughout the state that when you go to buy ammunition, they slide a notebook in front of you. And they ask you to fill out certain information pertaining to you and the size round that you happen to buy at that particular place that sells ammunition. I have a bill in my pocket that I will be introducing within the next 2 weeks that will prohibit anyone in the state who sells ammunition from collecting your personal information so that they can go and determine what firearms you have in your home that may or may not be registered. Because it's none of their business what you own so long as you own it legally. And as you all know, there are certain firearms that don't meet the requirement for registration. But as soon as you buy a round of ammunition for it, they now know that you own, in my case, an antique 32 caliber pistol short that I wanted to buy a box of ammo for. And I signed the book. You know why I signed the book? Because I knew it was illegal for them to collect that information. But I wanted my name in that book. And then I challenged the Maryland State Police in the House Judiciary Committee last year. And I got him so upset that he ended up admitting that, yes, he knew of the program. Well, now I'm coming after the program. So I thank you. I thank you. I can't tell you, as you've heard from Congressman Harris, from Senator Jacobs, you got to come down here. Not only do you have to come down here, you have to bring 10 people with you. Yeah. Bring 10 people with you that care about liberty and justice and freedom for the state of Maryland and for the United States of America. We need to fill this place when we have those bill hearings. And we need to demand that those bills are voted on so that we know who the real criminals are in the State House. God bless you all and thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Dwyer. Our next guest speaker is Dan Bongino.
And yes, I wear boots and jeans, and I don't apologize for it. I'm that middle-class American that Barack Obama was supposedly running for until you saw your paycheck go down last week. Felt great, didn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, there's no such thing as gun control. Don't co-opt their language. There's only people control.
Yep.
Right.
And I can prove it to you. I spent 16 years of my life with a badge on my chest, which served as a target for some, unfortunately. I don't remember ever having the conversation during my years in the Secret Service that, hey, listen, we're taking the president to Baltimore, to Chicago, so let's just disarm because they have really strict gun control laws. Now, why is that funny? The reason is it's funny because it's funny. I never, in 15 plus years of doing this, have ever arrested or investigated someone on a gun crime who had that gun legally.
Yeah. Amen.
So you have to ask yourself, why? It's not about gun control. Do not co-opt the language. When they own the language, they own the argument.
Yes.
There is a reason they are doing this.
Yes.
You know, folks, it may disappoint some here, but I could have carried a gun my entire time, anywhere in the United States, on planes, wherever I chose. I didn't. That was my choice. It may have been a foolish one, but it was my choice. It was my choice. It was my God-given right to be able to protect myself and my family. That was my right, not given to me by a piece of paper, only insured by that piece of paper. That is not up for debate. The right to petition, the right to assemble so beautifully on this day, the right to speech is not given to you by the governor or the president of the United States. That is not his to give. And if it is not his to give, it is not his or her or anyone else's to take away. Anyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in perilous times. You know, I'm just a man. My spirit's been almost broken over this. This is our country. That flag represents something. Yep. Men and women have died horrible deaths. Yep. Horrible deaths. My uncle being one of them. Shot in the back in Vietnam to protect your very right. Your liberty, your decisions, your decision to be able to protect your family. We live, unfortunately, and Lord, it pains me to say this, but we live in a society of wolves. You do not fight back by creating more sheep.
Hear, hear.
You do. These are tough times, folks. And I want to leave you with this thought. Our revolution was one of the only revolutions in human history where those who defeated our enemies and took power created a document that disempowered them. Here, on this soil, in this country, in this collective group of people we call the beautiful United States, it pains me to say this. I'm not a right-wing nut job. I'm not a xenophobe. I'm not a misogynist. I'm just a man. I'm just a guy who wants to live and let live. I don't mind paying taxes for our military. I will give you my last dollar to fund our beautiful veterans that come home missing parts of their body if they come home at all. But ladies and gentlemen, these are your tax dollars to pay a government that is slowly but surely every day whittling away more and more of your ability to live and let live is not what people who died and bled for meant this country to be. That is not what that represents. That is not a piece of fabric. It is not a tablecloth. That is an idea. An idea that's unique to this place right now, right here. Act. Do not talk. Action matters. This speech is meaningless without action. If you here are not registered to vote, you are not part of the problem. You are the problem. And I'm sorry if you don't want to hear that. If you did not show up because it was chilly, or you felt like your vote didn't make a difference, you're the problem.
Right. Yeah.
If you are not out here today finding some way in your sphere of influence to echo chamber this message to 20 or 30 people, you're the problem.
Yep.
And if in this next election in 2014, you're not volunteering, or you're not talking, or you're not registered, or you're not voting, you're the problem. Action matters.
Yep.
Action changes the world.
Hear, hear.
Talk is cheap. Your liberty is not.
Right.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
What an inspiration. Thank you, Dan. Our next speaker is not only an incredible singer, has an incredible voice, but he is also a law enforcement trainer that worked with German and Israel special ops teams in Athens, Greece, prior to and during the Summer of Olympics in 2004, preparing Greek police and military to protect attendees and heads of state from around the world. He is also a NRA and Heckler & Koch certified firearms instructor and operated an executive protection transportation company in the Baltimore, Washington area for 25 years. And he is an accredited forensic agent for DNA SI in Burlington, North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Mr. Alexander Karras.
Thank you very much. It's truly an honor to speak to all of you here in the State House. I look across the crowd here and I see faces from all walks of life. I don't see radicals. I see moms and dads, children. I see business people. I see teachers. I see normal cross-section of America. That's what we are. And we're losing our rights. I commend all of our speakers. They've really said everything that needs to be said. However, I've got just a couple things that I might want to bring to your attention. I'm preaching to the choir, but hopefully somewhere in this crowd there might be a Democrat or a lib that might be lurking, and they may learn something from what we've all shared today. Okay? Spread the news. Thank you. The solutions to our problem here, having trained with people from all over the world, there are some very sharp people. Does anybody own a Swiss watch?
Yeah.
Okay. Swiss Army knife? Always works, doesn't it? Well, Switzerland has a way of doing things that work. Now, in Switzerland, I was there on an assignment, and I found myself out on the street at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking, no, I'm not in Baltimore. People are cordial, they're friendly, they're polite. And why was that? Now, Switzerland, no one screws with the Swiss. It's the most heavily armed country in the world. And it also, consequently, has the lowest crime rate in the world. Every citizen is issued a SIG 550, and they're trained with them. So in a home, when you visit a typical Swiss family, they'll open up a locker and you'll see granddad's weapon, the son's weapon, the whole lineage, and they're very proud of the fact that they've been able to maintain law and order in a civil modern society. Now, what our legislators are saying here, they're saying we live in a modern society and we don't need guns. Are you nuts? Well,
Watch their own news.
Switzerland has never been attacked, nor will they be. So the solution to the problem is more guns, less crime, and just facts. Now, when you take the FBI stats, Department of Justice stats, and you read them, and you look at them, and you masticate them, and then you say, we're going to ban guns, then there's something nefarious going on. There's something wrong. And when we look at history, look at 1938, the magazine, Time magazine cover. Who was it? Hitler. It was Adolf Hitler. Okay. Coincidentally, this December of 2012, our boy is the cover of Time magazine. Is it happenstance, or is God kind of sending us a signal here? So,
It's a wake-up call.
it's a wake-up call. America, we've got to wake up. We've got to wake up. Any veterans from the Second World War here? Vietnam? Gulf? We salute you. We salute those men, your partners, your men in arms that died, shed their blood for our freedom to stand here and talk to you about what you're doing to us today. And as our previous speakers said, if we do not assemble and stand up for our rights, we will lose them. And we will. We really will. Now, this morning, I read this is from the governor's, Maryland Gov blog, P802, January 18th. This is a release that came out this morning. And it says, this is O'Malley speaking. He says, progress is a choice. Progress is a choice? Where was your progress 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when murders were 400 people slain in Baltimore? Wasn't high enough? You needed a little more? What was it?
More progress.
No one seemed to want to solve that problem. So, after a half a century of change, now they want to come up with a common sense solution to make magazines have a smaller capacity. Okay, let's play that out, Gov. Now my magazines are only going to be 7 rounds, and I'm a whack job. Okay, now I'll have 4 of them, times 7, that's 28, and I can flip a magazine in a half a second. 28, okay. All right, so then we'll take all semis away, and it's just going to be wheel guns. All right, all 5 rounds, 6 revolvers, that's 30 shots, right? Now what? Well, we'll take those away. Okay, then what about...
You got it.
I read this here. Here, look at this. It's okay. Woman brutally stabbed inside bed and bath store.
Yep.
Okay. Victim, 29-year-old. She's just minding herself. A guy, total stranger, walks up and starts hacking away at her. Okay, so I guess that wasn't an assault knife or a high capacity knife. How about this one, Gov? Robber beats Dallas clerk with several hammers. So we better get rid of the hammers, right? Yeah. You know,
Or the mobs in Baltimore beat people every night.
there have always been evil, crazy people. We as humans are very creative. So you take away the guns, take away the hammers. How about a weed sprayer with a gallon of gas walking in someplace? You can incinerate a classroom. It's not the device. Okay, so if you're going to fight us, Gov, then police officers at some point are going to say, I am going to stand up for my Constitution, what I swore to uphold. I will deputize my people. I will deputize teachers. I will give them concealed carry permits. I mean, do we really need to have to go that route? If that's what we have to do, and there are teachers out there that want that training, I'll train you for free. I'll do it. But the solution really is, really knowledge. We will perish through lack of knowledge. So I was watching Nancy on TV, Senator Jacobs last night with her opponent. This woman had no idea what she was talking about. An assault weapon. You know, and California has stated that an assault weapon, if it looks like one, it is. You know, it's lunacy. It really is. So I'm a proponent for the Swiss Army knife and the Swiss watch, and I thank each and every one of you for coming out here today. God bless you all. Be safe, and God bless America.
Hi, everybody. Listen, I think it's time for you all to give yourselves a round of applause while we're here. Taking time on a 3-day weekend to come out to an event like this. I'm Andrew Langer. I'm president of the Institute for Liberty. I was honored to have been asked to help put together the program today. I'm going to speak a little later. I want to bring up a very good friend of mine. When I first came to Maryland a few years ago and was getting involved in conservative activism here, it's all about the people who put together events like these. Because, there are those of us who are professional activists, professional advocates who engage in this on a daily basis. But really, it's folks like Ellen, and folks like Jackie Lynn, who's here, and folks like Karen, who are not professionals. Folks who come out and do this out of the goodness of their hearts. And one of those folks that I met was a woman named Cheryl Jaros, who is just a tireless advocate for free markets and limited government. She is from my home county of Queen Anne's County, so please put your hands together for Cheryl Jaros.
We're looking for a David Whitley.
No, we found him.
You found him. Hi, David.
David Whitley. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming out on this chilly day to support our Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. Gun control fanatics want Americans to relinquish their firearms and fully rely on the government for protection. Realistically, however, police forces are employed to patrol, maintain peace, and investigate crimes after the fact. Rarely do circumstances allow officers to stop a crime in progress. With the government in control of so many aspects of our lives, many Americans believe themselves entitled to constant protection, but no police department can respond instantly to every citizen's needs. Discussing the Connecticut tragedy with friends recently, I made the comment that we have got to get guns back into our schools. I might have stated that belief a bit more delicately, but I believe the protection of our children and our loved ones rely on God-fearing, law-abiding citizens. No law, however intrusive on our liberties, can ever guarantee that an evil person intent on death and destruction can be prevented from finding the means to that end. The most probable and best response possible to save lives is a law-abiding armed citizen on the scene. It may have been a teacher, an administrator, a janitor, or someone with the means that could have responded first and saved many children's lives. Dr. Susanna Huff, whose parents were killed directly in front of her during the Luby's cafeteria shooting in Texas, had this to say to Congress: "I'm not mad at the guns that did this. They didn't walk in and pull their own triggers. I'm mad at the legislators for legislating me out of the right to protect myself."
We're switching battery, everybody. Let me just remind you, hang on to your signs, save them, put them away. The fight has just begun. So make sure you keep these wonderful posters. Secondly, there's a big petition that we'd like everybody to sign before they leave.
By the Maryland flag.
Back here.
By the Maryland flag.
Oh, by the Maryland flag, right over there. So if you have an opportunity, you want to mill over there now and sign that petition. It's very important. Okay.
Where were we? Dr. Huff. I'm not mad at the guns that did this. They didn't walk in and pull their own triggers. I'm mad at the legislators for legislating me out of the right to protect myself and my family. Dr. Huff owned a gun which she carried in her purse. At the time, it was a felony in some situations to carry a gun in your purse, so she had left it in her car. She stated that she had ample opportunity to act and save lives, including her parents, but she did not have the means at hand. I do not want my children, my family, or my friends to be totally at the mercy of anyone intent on such evil. Taking guns from law-abiding citizens, which I believe eventually will include all guns, only assists the one willing and eager to inflict pain and death and victimize the helpless. Even putting this self-defense logic aside, the Second Amendment was enacted, first and foremost, to allow citizens the means to protect themselves from the tyranny of any government. The so-called assault weapon is nothing more than the musket of our generation, a tool more equal to those that can be brought against us. Those who would take this right from us have a saying, never let a crisis go to waste. I believe President Obama's proposed legislation and his 23 executive actions are based on this premise. Fellow patriots, do not allow your Second Amendment rights to be stripped away in the heat of the moment. These rights should be strengthened and not weakened. Thank you, and God bless America.
Thank you. For those of you who didn't hear me, please make sure before you leave you signed a petition over here by the Maryland flag. That way. Thank you. And also, our next speaker, we're very privileged to have him. He's a senior instructor for the Institute on the Constitution, and I have to tell you, I have heard from a number of people that he is an excellent speaker, so I'm very happy to have him here.
Thank you, Karen. It's my privilege to be with you. David Whitney, senior instructor at Institute on the Constitution. How many of you have been to the gun store this week? Yeah! All right. Hey, I was there yesterday, and I saw something unusual. Normally when I go in, the shelves are full. There's plenty of ammo. You know what? The shelves are nearly empty. I asked the guy at the counter, what's going on here? Has Obama been by? He laughed and said, well, a lot of people have been by because of Obama. Well, those shelves are empty, but I want to give you 2 pieces of ammunition today you can use with your legislators, not on your legislators, with your legislators. 2 pieces of ammunition that come from the Maryland State Constitution. We've had a lot of talk, and important talk about our U.S. Second Amendment, but do you know that our Maryland Constitution actually gives us greater protections than the Second Amendment that is in the U.S. Bill of Rights? You don't know that because they don't want you to know that. I teach the only course available anywhere in the universe on the Maryland State Constitution. Let me give you these 2 pieces of ammunition. You may need to remember this because you don't have an item to write it down, but the first one is out of the Declaration of Rights. Declaration of Rights number 28. Say that. Declaration of Rights 28. Well, let me read it to you. It's actually stronger than the U.S. Bill of Rights Second Amendment. It says that a well-regulated militia is the proper and natural defense of a free government. Let me ask you, does Maryland have a well-regulated militia? I'm looking at the militia right now, and if we had a well-regulated militia right now, every one of these empty holsters that I see all around me, these empty holsters would be filled, would they not? That would indicate we have a well-regulated militia. Instead, we have criminals who are living in violation and passing laws. They've already passed plenty of laws, and they're intending to pass more laws in direct violation of this Constitution, which they took an oath before Almighty God to uphold. That tells me something on Judgment Day. There's going to be hell to pay for those who violated this document they took an oath to uphold. You, my friends, are the militia of the state of Maryland, and the fact that they have said you cannot walk with a piece on in this or any other place in the state of Maryland tells us they have violated the very principles of this Declaration of Rights number 28. So that's the first piece of ammunition you need to use with your state legislators, to say any bill that restricts in any way peaceful citizens who are not felons to carry armaments on them at all times, 24/7, is a violation of what? Say it with me, Declaration of Rights 28. Declaration of Rights 28, a well-regulated militia. The other amazing part of our Constitution is Article number 9. Say it with me, Article 9. Article 9 deals with the militia and military affairs, and it says the General, this is Section 1 of Article 9, the General Assembly shall make. Shall tells us they don't have an option, right? They must do this. They shall make from time to time such provisions for organizing, equipping, hey, that means we're supposed to have something from them, right? Organizing and equipping and disciplining the militia as the exigency may require, and pass such laws to promote, notice in these next words, to promote volunteer militia organizations as may afford them effectual encouragement. Have they done that? No! They are in violation of Article 9 of the Maryland State Constitution. They are oath breakers and they are law breakers. We have a house behind us filled with a lawbreaker. We have a house over there filled with lawbreakers because they will not comply with the supreme law of the state of Maryland, the state constitution. We need to remove these people from office. We need to make them absolutely understand we will not tolerate their violations of our state constitution. But you need to take this to another person, a very, very important person in your county, perhaps the most important person in your county that can help restore order and restore the militia of this state. And that is your county sheriff. Your county sheriff takes an oath to uphold the Maryland State Constitution. And I dare say, if you were to ask him, has he read it? Most of them have not. Perhaps you can introduce your sheriff to Declaration of Rights, Article what? 28. And the Article number 9. 28 and 9. Perhaps you can introduce him and say, Sheriff, I want to be part of your posse. After all, this Constitution says I'm supposed to be part of the posse. I'm supposed to be part of this organized militia or this volunteer militia. I'm here to volunteer, Sheriff. Will you issue me a card that says I'm a member of your posse, which means I can carry 24/7, and any criminal that comes against me and says, I'm going to take your weapons, I will call the other members of the posse to arrest that person and put him in the county jail. And if that person happens to be from the Obama administration, he's going to jail in that county. And if he's from the governor, he's going to jail. And if he's from the state police, he's going to jail because he's violating the supreme law of the state of Maryland. So there's your two pieces of ammunition to use, not only with those down here in Annapolis, but with your county sheriff. Declaration of Rights, Article what? 28. And the Article what of the Constitution? 9. Say it again, 28 and 9. You need to get a copy of this. By the way, the legislative services, I don't know if they're open today, but you can get 10 copies of this and distribute it to your friends. Of course, you can get it on the internet. And we do teach a course at Institute on the Constitution on this document. We invite you to join us. And God bless America. God bless the state of Maryland. Thank you.
Thank you, David Whitney. That was awesome. Everybody, please welcome a congressional candidate, Eric Knowles.
Okay, short and sweet. Let's keep it short and sweet. Hello, choir. You guys are doing great here. I know most of you probably own and are obviously advocates. You're out here today, so I'm going to keep it, everyone said a lot of really great things today. I'm just going to say something that a lot of us don't think about, but we really need to come to grips with, and this is something we can use for the people that are against our rights, that want to say there's tragedies out there. People are using these scary-looking weapons that are taking lives of people, and we have to take these from the law-abiding citizens. And I want you to say something to them. Make them realize that they're, and first of all, I want to say, before I go into this, I want to say thank you to all the cops that are here today, that are standing by to watch as we peacefully assemble. and try to protect our rights. So, with that said, however, as good a job as these guys can do, they cannot be there all the time. My father was a police officer. I'm a military veteran. I understand that, and I want you to understand today one thing, and I know I'm speaking to the choir, but I'm really speaking to the cameras today. Only you can protect your own life. The cops cannot get there in time, and I'm going to also give a shout out to a gentleman on the internet, Mr. Noir, because I'm stealing his words from him. Cops cannot protect your rights. Obama cannot protect your rights. O'Malley cannot protect your rights. Only you can protect, your lives from these mass murders. If they come in with these weapons and they're shooting at you, the best defense against this are armed citizens that can fire bullets back in their direction. We don't want to think about this because it's hard to think that the responsibility starts and ends with ourselves. But that's it. So all the legislation that we put out, whether it's state or whether it's federal, can only do one of two things. It can restrict your freedoms, and it can take your money away from you. That's it. It cannot protect you. They can reduce the magazines down to 1. People will find a way to kill someone. Right. It does not matter what laws these
idiots.
Thank you. Say the word for me. Whatever they decide to pass, it makes no difference. It does not make you any safer. Every law that they pass makes you less safe. So when they pass these laws and your friends are out there telling you that you're horrible people because you want to own guns and we need to get it out of your hands, you tell them that they want you, their children, everyone else's children less safe. They want these 1 or 2 people, these psychopaths that have a fantasy to be remembered by us all, in which we glorify in the news. They want these people to have the monopoly on force instead of doing the only one thing that they can do that can make us safe, and that is to allow us to have our natural born rights to defend ourselves.
Amen.
Yeah.
So digest that. But the last thing I want to say to you, and like I said, short and sweet, is you have a lot of really great people that have stood up here today, and there's people that are here that have not had a chance to stand up, that are going to be running for office in the next year. As has been mentioned before, we need to get behind these people, and we need to not be afraid to get out there and get into our neighbors' faces and tell them that these are our rights, and this is how we're going to protect them, and then convince them that these are good things to protect. Because it's a good idea to be able to protect yourself. So let's get active. Let's take this state, let's take this country back, and let's just do what's right from now on.